So good morning. Welcome to our Hatha flow practice. It is Tuesday. The yoga studios here in the lower mainland have been closed, and so I'm hoping to be there and be your source of yoga as we both move into the winter months, and also as we hunker down inside for a little bit again. So today we're going to be starting on our backs on our mat, so you can make your way to your mat. Make sure you have any props that you need nearby. So as you can see, I have some blocks. You can use blocks, you can use cans, you can use books. Sometimes it helps to boost the floor closer to you in any kind of fold. You can have a belt like I have, or a tea towel or a strap of some sort. And then for underneath you, maybe a cushion or a folded blanket or towel. So let's begin. I'm going to make my way over to my mat. I've got my yellow pants on. And come onto your back. I figured we could use a little sunshine. So once you're on your back, you have to kind of recalibrate sometimes, depending on what we've been doing all day so far. The back might scream a little bit, so we allow ourselves to settle into the earth. Sometimes it helps to bring the feet mat width apart and the knees fall in towards each other. And take these moments to reconnect to the physical body. It's quite usual for the mind to be racing, the day's events still fresh. So we start to bring our attention to the senses. Noticing what you feel from your environment, the air on the skin, the earth underneath you. Seeing the light behind your eyelids, listening to sounds distant and near. This is a good way to ground and get out of the sometimes cyclic nature of thoughts, to tap back into the senses. In this space, you may start to notice your breath. You may start to notice any other sensations in the body, tension, gurgling, heartbeat. And we just notice, no stories or judgments. Make sure you set the intention today to meet your body where it's at. So that means really starting to find that discernment between discomfort and pain, backing off if there's any shooting, sharp pains, if there's numbness or tingling in the extremities, If there's something that feels grinding or compression, we're not here to create more stress in our physical bodies or more strain, but we are here to grow. And if you see the opportunity for a challenge, then go for that as well. It's all about this constant conversation. This week, my theme is alignment. So on the mat, we can take that very physically and notice how, as we move our bodies through postures, we slowly start to remind the muscles back into alignment as we bring length and openness to the tight places and strength and stability to the places that feel unstable. We can realign with our natural form. But I add in here, how does our practice make us feel aligned in our mental body, in our emotional body, in our spiritual body as well? How does reconnecting with yourself on your mat strengthen that inner core? And how do we maintain that when we come off the mat? Things to ponder. Slowly start to bring the knees in towards yourself, hugging those knees in. And then perhaps you rock a little side to side, make some circles on the ceiling in one direction and then the other, getting a little massage for the low back, for the sacrum. Beautiful. And now we're going to bring the feet to the earth again. Keep them hip distance apart. Pick the hips up slightly and draw them over to the right. Let the knees fall to the left. Just for a very open twist here. With the arms, you could leave them at the sides. You could even bring them up overhead for a little bit of an extra stretch through the fascia, from the fingertips all the way down through that hip, even down through the leg. And then come back up to center. Pick the hips up, shift them over to the left, let the knees fall to the right. Same thing on this side. Just checking in with our bodies here. Come back up to center. And then we're going to walk the heels in towards the sit bones. And yes, we don't usually do this first thing, but we're going to just start activating all sides of our body, starting to feel all of those muscles that we're going to be using through the class. Bring the elbows in towards you, fingertips up to the sky. Really press the upper arms into the earth, the feet into the earth. Make sure the feet are parallel, knees pointing upwards. And we're going to inhale and lift those hips up off the floor into Setu Bandhasana prep pose. So a bridge pose here. Everything that's in contact with the earth, so the back of the head, the back of the arms, the back of the shoulders, the feet, they're all pressing into, rooting into the earth as those hips lift up. And we wake up the chain of muscles along the back body. And then bring those hips back down. Bring the arms out to the side. Come back with the knees up, but now the shins are in a tabletop position. And keeping the legs here, or if you need a little bit more, you can start to straighten your legs. We're going to slowly start to bring the knees over to the right. Without touching the earth, exhale, come back up to center, and then over to the left. So a little bit more of an active twist here. We're starting to draw the lower abdomen towards the floor, activating those core muscles. We're starting to get a little bit more fire. As we just come side to side. We also continue this little massage along the pelvis and the low back. Beautiful. Come back up to center after that last round. Reach the legs up, reach the hands up to the sky, and just start to wake up the hands and the feet, rolling out the ankles, rolling out the wrists, opening the toes, opening the fingers, closing them. Nice. Hug those knees in again. We're going to keep the right knee in, stretch the left leg out along the mat. And here you can do a little bit of a teeter-tottering. So take that knee away, feel that left leg drop down towards the mat, bring it a little bit closer, and then explore. Find a place that feels like relief. Not only like a sigh of relief from the muscles going, oh yeah, that's the spot, but also a sigh of relief of the nervous system because something feels like it's clicked into place. Something feels aligned. Whatever release you get through the muscle has opened a pathway. And we'll take that right leg in the right hand and open it up to the side, just saying good morning to the inner thigh. And then take it into the left hand and cross it over the body, rolling onto that left hip. And it doesn't have to come all the way down, just enough to get a little bit of a different kind of twist. We should be feeling this a little bit more through the legs, through the glutes, through the hips, as opposed to the spine here. And then back to center. Bring both knees in, keep the left knee in, stretch that right leg out along your mat. So again, we teeter-totter a little, come back and forth with that left knee and explore until you find that place that feels like just the right stretch for you right now. Physical alignment in our bodies is so important because of that link, that nervous system that runs up the central column of our body in the spinal cord and then branches out to reach every single part of the body to innervate, to act, to liven up. So if we are in line, our body can communicate within itself more effectively. Bring that left knee into the left hand, open it out to the left. Say good morning to the inner thigh, even if it's not morning. And then take it in the right hand, start to cross it over the body, rolling onto the right hip. so that we get that twist. Relax into it. So from a neurological standpoint, as we open up tight places through yoga and strengthen the joints and those unstable places, we're actually working on the alignment of the structure of our bodies and thus the ability of our nerves to get messages to where they need to go. They won't be blocked by tightness, by dysfunction, by compensation. In an ideal world. Come all the way back to center, bring both knees into the hands, and this time draw those knees in, arms out to the side one more time, but this time let those knees fall all the way to the right into a twist. Here we feel it more in the back. So we're kind of working our way up. Notice how every single kind of twist feels slightly different, gets to a slightly different area. Here, really focusing on letting that left shoulder be heavy. And inhale up to center, over to the left. And let that right shoulder be heavy. As we also bring it into a chest stretch. And then back up to center. Hug those knees and even draw the head in. And then either come over onto your side or rock and roll up so that we can come to hands and knees. So the hands come right under the shoulders, the knees come right under the hips. And first, before we start our cat-cows today, we're going to find neutral. So neutral, it might be easier even after cat-cows, but neutral will be that the ribs drawing down towards the pelvis. We still have a natural curve in the low back, but we're not dumping everything out onto the earth. And then that sacrum should feel like you could put a dinner plate on it or a wine glass, and it would be safe there. So the pelvis is neither tipping forward nor rounding back. There's a slight curve in the low back because that's natural. And then the front body, the core, is holding you in, is holding that front body into the center line so that nothing's spilling out on the mat. So with our cat-cows, we're going to really work into them very slowly, moving from every single vertebra and the pelvis. Just start to tip subtly. Let the contents spill out onto your mat. And then on the exhale, find a posterior tilt of the pelvis and then a rounding of the spine. So start to work into that a little bit more. Linking movement with breath, inhaling, tipping forward, exhaling backwards, inhaling, opening the front body, and exhaling, opening the back body. Just noticing which segments of your body are easier to move and which are more challenging. Noticing the difference between left and right. Beautiful. And now you can go full cat-cow. Pressing into the earth on the exhale to expand that back body and drawing that heart down and forward on the inhale to really expand through the front body. One more round. And then come back to center. So this time we're going to go side to side. Curve the body to the left as you look over the right shoulder towards the right hip. And then go to the other side, like you're wagging your tail. And we're just going to come back and forth. Again, checking in, seeing how each side feels. Nice. And one more round. Nice. And now come back to neutral. We're going to go into our shoulder flow. Walk the hands forward a little bit. Exhale, hips come back towards the heels. And we draw our face along the floor. Elbows out to the side. Keep the hips high. Press back up onto hands and knees. So here we're trying to incorporate all segments of the spine here. Curling back. And then really focusing on that opening of the upper spine and the shoulders on the way back to the front of the mat. Let's do one more round of that. Moving through the cricks and the cracks. And then back up to neutral. Knees apart, toes together, come back into a child's pose for a moment. If the head doesn't come all the way to the floor, you can rest it on props or your hands. And just let go here for a moment. Check in with the back and the hips. See how they're responding to some movement. Come on back up to center. Curl the toes under. Pick those knees up off the floor 2 to 3 inches and then draw that belly button up. So we're going to stabilize the core here and wake it up again. Pressing into every single finger pad, every single knuckle. Even see if you can spread your toes and press into every toe mound. And then draw that belly button up. Let go of the head and the neck. Make sure there's not a lot of tension in that area at the side of the neck between the shoulders and the ears. And now we're going to rock back, if you wish, 4 times into a rocket. So we press those hips back, extend the arms, and then come forward. 3 more. 2 more. Keep that core active. Last one. Nice. And then straighten the legs, straighten the arms. Come back into your first downward facing dog. Walk those legs out. Beautiful. Here in downward dog, it's a place we call home because of the alignment here. So our primary priority in down dog is that spine, that natural lengthened spine from head to tailbone. So if you feel like you're curving too much here, bend those knees and sit those hips back even more and keep the knees bent. It's more important to have that aligned spine here. And that's what's calming to the nervous system, is that length that we find, that freedom in the hips. And then slowly start to walk forward into a forward fold, bending the knees as much as needed and letting yourself just go here. Slowly start to come all the way up to standing, one vertebra at a time. And stand here for a moment in mountain pose. Feeling tall, feeling everything stacked up. Ankles on feet, legs on ankles, hips on legs, all the vertebra, and the shoulders, neck, and head. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Look up halfway and lengthen hands to shins or thighs and release. 2 more of those. Look up halfway, lengthen. And just use this as some extra snake-like movements for the spine. A little bit of core activation. Then fingertips come to the earth and we step the left leg back behind us. Bring the left knee down to the earth. Beautiful. We're going to press ourselves up on that front leg so that we come into a low lunge. And then we're just going to flow here a little. I like to use movement, especially at the beginning of the practice, to, lubricate the joints and start to slowly work into those tight muscles. So draw those legs towards each other so that you come out of the pose a little and then lunge forward, hips and pelvis coming forward and down. Let's do 4 more of those. If you'd like, you can keep the hands on that thigh. You can bring them to the heart center. You may even want to draw them up, but depending on where you are in today's practice. Beautiful. 1 more time. Draw those legs together and then lunge forward. Hold it here. So there is some muscle action that's keeping those legs scissoring towards each other, but we also want a balance of giving over to the earth a little bit, feeling it in that front hip joint, feeling it in that back hip flexor, stretching out the muscles there. For 3, 2, 1. Now, we're even going to take it further now. Bring both hands to the inside edge of that right foot and see if we can melt a little bit deeper. Perhaps a slight bend in the elbows. Maybe you can even come down on one or both elbows. Maybe even on a prop. Release the head and the neck and melt that right shoulder down to the inner edge of that right leg. Keep that right knee grazing the right shoulder or arm. Lizard pose. Holding it here. When we think of the health of our spine and back pain, we often really focus on that central column. But the hips, the legs, tightness here also really feeds into that whole system. And vice versa. So in any spine and back program, you need to add some hips. Press yourself up, step back onto all 4s. We're going to reach that right leg back behind us now. Kick that heel out behind you, toes facing the floor. Find neutral. Left arm can come out in front for this bird dog pose. Now we're going to hold it here. Just finding length from fingertip to heel. And then for the last 4 breaths, as we exhale, we bring the knee and the elbow in towards each other. And inhale, we reach it out. 3 more. And last one. Release the hand, release the knee. Let's sit those hips back and see if you can slither down towards the earth, eventually making your way to your abdomen. Flip the feet over, hands come under the shoulders. Draw those shoulder blades on the back and lift the head and heart off the ground. So you're in a baby cobra. Now with those hands, I want you to pull them towards you like you're trying to slither across the floor, pulling your heart forward. Feel the activation of the arms. Draw the shoulders on the back, lengthen the neck. Make sure it's loose and long. So the tops of the feet are on the floor, the thighs are on the floor, the pubic bone's on the floor, the abdomen, and even my bottom ribs are still on the floor. I'm trying to pull myself forward on my mat, strengthening that back body and using the arms a little bit here for 3, 2, 1, release. Come back into downward facing dog or any recovery pose where you get that long spine. So a good alternative is also puppy pose with knees on the earth, hips above the knees, and we still have that long spine from head to tailbone. Left foot steps between the hands, however it gets there. Right knee comes down to the earth. We're in our low lunge. We press ourselves up. And on this side, same thing. We're going to draw those legs towards each other so we come out of the pose. And then this whole apparatus of the hips and the pelvis and the pubic bone come forward. So 4 more times. Every exhale, you melt a little deeper into the earth. So the inhale is easy to bring that muscle action into the body. Doesn't mean we lose it when we come forward in the exhale. And it doesn't mean we lose the stretch on the exhale either, or on the inhale. All right, last time, hold it there. Maybe the arms stay supporting you. Maybe they come to the heart. Maybe they come up. Beautiful. Keep melting that pelvis forward. And then bring the hands down on the inner side of that left foot. And saw your heart down. Maybe there's an elbow bend. You let go of your head and your neck. And you let that femur bone, the big bone of the leg, settle into that hip joint. We're stretching out the tight places. And we strengthen the places that need more stability so that our anatomy can come back to the way it was before we created all kinds of interesting compensations through posture and work and driving and sitting and stress, and holding on to emotions through the body. And slowly press yourself up, frame that front foot, pick the back knee up off the ground and step it forward, forward fold. Beautiful. We're gonna bend the knees nice and deep. Lots of weight in the heels. And then bring the body parallel to the earth. So keep drawing those ribs in, keep drawing that lower abdomen up. But try to make that body parallel to the earth, as if you're trying to sit back onto a sofa, but you're not quite there yet. Feel that stretch through the hips, but that neutrality through the spine. If the lower back is hurting, activate your front body, activate your core a little bit more by drawing those ribs down and activating, making alive that lower abdomen. If you're ready, you can reach the arms out in front of you so that from fingertips to sit bones, we got one long straight line. Lots of weight in the heels. Sit a little deeper, strengthen up those hips, those thighs. And inhale all the way up. Beautiful, exhale, fold. Hands to shins your thighs, look up halfway and lengthen. And exhale, fingertips to the earth. This time, right leg steps back, right heel spins down, and we come up into a warrior two pose. We come out of the pose a little to ground into both feet, and then we bend that front knee so that it's tracking towards the middle of the front foot. We're trying to scoop that left hip under and strengthen up, power up that back leg. Arms come out to the side, gaze over the front hand. Feel the strength around the femur bone, the hip joint, to keep your legs in this position. The strength of that front thigh to keep it bending. And the power in that back leg from hip to foot to keep it as your anchor. And now hands to the hips, and we're going to dive diagonally to the inside edge of that left leg. Fingertips come to the earth. And then perhaps they start to walk diagonally away to the upper right corner of the mat. Let the head and the neck go, supported, humble warrior. The legs stay in the same position, and the upper body just folds. Beautiful. Walk the hands to the front of the mat, spin up on those back toes, and come back into a plank pose this time. Your plank can be on hands and knees, on elbows, or on hands and toes. Wherever you are, everything's drawing into the center. We've got a long line from head to heels. The front body is holding itself in with strength. The shoulders are strong, but on the back, away from the ears. Beautiful work. Now you can either bend the elbows or drop the knees and slither back down onto the abdomen. Nice. So we're going to do the same thing as we did the first round of Bhujangasana Cobra. We can do that baby cobra where we're using our hands and literally drawing them towards us to pull the heart further forward. Or you could start to extend those arms slightly, but you're still going to be drawing those hands towards you on your mat, bursting your heart forward through your arms. Collarbones wide, neck is long and loose, shoulders on the back. And release all the way down. It should be a lot of work. And come back into your puppy pose or downward facing dog. Beautiful. So we're going to step the right foot between the hands. Spin the left heel down. Come up into your warrior two on this side. Come out of the pose a little, ground through both feet, especially the outer edge of that back foot and all four corners of that front foot. And then bend that right knee. Arms come out like wings. And we gaze over that front hand. Everything from the hips down is strong, stable, grounded. And then from the waist up, we're growing. Beautiful. Tune into the power of the back leg. The stability of the front leg. And then hands on the hips and start to dive to the inner edge of that right leg. Hands coming down to the earth. You can stay here or they can start to walk diagonally away from you as you let the body melt and the head and neck release. Beautiful. Let's walk the hands back to frame that front foot. Come on the back toes. Step that back foot forward and fold. Let go here. Then we're going to bend the knees again, nice and deep. And come back to that pose that kind of looks like you're ready to do the ski jump. Sitting those hips back. Feet are parallel, knees are parallel. Maybe you're reaching your arms forward. Maybe you're even looking like you're ready to dive off the edge. And now from that place, can you keep the hips where they are and start to tilt the body up into chair pose? Arms, long line from fingers all the way out through those sit bones. 3, 2, 1. Come all the way up. Beautiful. Exhale, release the hands down. Tadasana. Mountain pose. Feeling tall, strong, and definitely more alive through the legs and the hips. Take a big step out so that the legs are wide, feet are parallel, hands come to the hips. Here, it's really important that if you need a prop to catch you as you fold forward, get it ready, because I want to really pause where our body is parallel to the floor, and the legs are perpendicular to the floor. So we're going to exhale and start to hinge at the hips and stop at 90 degrees here. If the hands can't reach the floor here, that's where something might come in handy. Another way to get the hands to reach the floor is to widen the legs a little more. And I know it might feel scary at first, but give it a shot. And now let's rock a little bit here. Bring lots of weight into the heels, and then bring lots of weight into the toes. And then the heels and the toes. And then even from right to left. And now find your center. That will be the place where we're getting the maximum benefit here. We'll be stretching out the back chain of muscles along the legs. We'll be able to find some balance and not be holding on in the jaw, the shoulders. If you're feeling good here, you could start to let the body melt, head hang down towards the earth. Hands can walk back in line with the feet, elbows pointed back, fingertips pointed forward. And just keep tuning into that balance from front and back, from left to right. Noticing where you're feeling it the most, how asymmetrical the body is, and how that's completely natural and okay. That's why we do these symmetrical poses, to find some balance. We trust that the pose is going to bring us exactly what we need. Nice. Walk the hands back under the shoulders. Come to parallel to the earth. Left hand comes underneath the face. Right hand to the sacrum as we twist to the right. See if you can keep that sacrum a nice flat platter there, and really twist from the core, not through the hips. Maybe that right arm reaches up. And then back to center. Right hand comes under the face, left hand on the sacrum. Twist, keep the hips in line, and open those collarbones. Maybe the left arm comes up. And then back to center. You might need to shimmy those feet in a little bit. Turn the toes out, bend the knees so that you're sitting back into a chair, and come all the way up into a goddess pose. Hands on the hips, finding that stability through that hip joint. The femur bones are plugged into their sockets. We got all four corners of the feet planted on the earth, and the body's growing. Hands to the heart. Close the eyes. Sit a little deeper. And a little more. And now lean forward, body parallel, torso parallel to the earth again. Bring the forearms to the thighs. So you've got a little support here. You can wiggle back and forth to begin with a little. Keep feeling that length through the spine, head to tail. Sit bones pressing out behind you. Now take the right hand to the inner right thigh and press that thigh away, stretch out through that right side of the body, look over the right shoulder. And then switch right forearm to the thigh. Left hand presses that left thigh away. Nice. Come a little deeper. And then hands on the hips, come all the way up, straighten the legs. Reintroduce the feet. Give it a wiggle. Come to the front of the mat. Inhale, reach. Exhale, fold. Inhale, look up and lengthen. Exhale, fingertips to the earth. Step back into a downward dog. Just a few rounds of movement here. Come up on the toes. Bend the knees deep. Press those hips back. Straighten the legs. And then heels come to the floor. 3 more times. Toes. Bend the knees. Hips come back. Straighten the legs. And draw those heels down. 2 more. You're trying to bring more and more length to the spine with each one. And then rest. Bring the knees down to the floor. Come into a child's pose. And ground. So for the next pose, if you need a folded blanket or towel to cushion your knees, we're going to be on our knees. Also, I'm just considering getting a towel here. There's one more thing we can do. If you know that your knees don't love to be sat on, this is kind of a big towel. You can roll up a towel and place it right behind that knee joint as you sit down there. And that helps to widen that space in the knee joint. And allow you to sit this way. So we're going to sit back onto the heels, hands on the thighs. Now, if you do have something rolled here and you're like, ooh, I'm getting a deep tissue massage there, that is normal and natural and very therapeutic as well. Don't worry, you can handle it. So, hands on the thighs, and then notice the pelvis position. Again, make sure it's not tipping forward and compressing the low back, but also that you're not tipping backwards and caving in through the front body. So we want to imagine that pelvis, a bowl that is upright, neither spilling forward or back. And then from there, it's actually easier to connect with the core muscles and feel long here. So hold here in our hero's pose. Feeling that alignment of the spine. Feeling a little bit more free, more spacious. Let's inhale, reach the arms up. Bend through the right elbow, take the left hand, press that elbow back, get into a tricep stretch. If you want, you could always link the hands behind the back as well, if that's within your range of movement. And then reach back up, go to the other side, bend the left elbow, take the left elbow back with the right hand, or you can link behind the back here as well. And then slowly release the arms. I know this may be getting uncomfortable. You check in with yourself. Is it the discomfort that leads to growth or does not create more? If it's okay, you can always come to seated for this too, but we're going to reach down with that right hand It may or may not get to the earth. Left hand's going to gently draw the head over to the left. You might not need that hand either. This might be enough. But I'm really reaching through those right fingertips. And then back to center. Left fingertips reach down. Head tips to the right. Beautiful. Roll forward onto hands and knees. You may need to cycle those legs out a little and then come to seated. If you need a cushion for a comfortable seated position, go for it. Come into a cross-legged seated position. Note which foot is in front for now. Roll the shoulders on the back. Just one more neck opener here. We'll bring the ear to the right shoulder and then roll the chin down along the collarbone till the left ear comes to the left shoulder. And then down, right ear to the right. And just do this 3 more times. I'm just addressing some of that neck tension. We can't do a spine alignment class without getting into the neck. And last one. Come all the way back up to center. And then we're going to take our fingertips and walk ourselves forward. I like to stay on my fingertips like little tents and then just let the heart soften through, the head and the neck soften through. I keep my sit bones anchored to my cushion. And then all the way up. And we're going to cross the legs with the other leg in front. And do the same thing on our fingertips, walk ourselves forward. Let the heart melt, let the head and neck melt. And then slowly come all the way up. Bring the hands to the thighs, somewhere comfortable. Close the eyes. Feel the sit bones rooting down and the spine growing up out of that pelvis. Yoga was originally designed to just get you to a point where you can sit and meditate. It is designed to align the body, to lengthen the tight muscles, to strengthen the unstable places, so that in meditation, you've got the optimum alignment physically, but especially neurologically, for the magic to happen. So take some moments here to bathe in that space. Note the access that you have to the spine after having awoken the core muscles, the muscles around the spine, movement in the torso, but also after having opened up the hips a little, reintegrated them. The more grounded the lower body can feel here, the more spacious the upper body becomes. Whenever you're ready, or if you want, you could stay here. You could slowly start to make your way onto your back. Once you get there, you can recalibrate a little. And find your favorite position for final relaxation. If anything needs to move through your body, you can let it. Happy baby or twists or even just some rocks and rolls. And then find a position where you can relax and release completely. Softening the periphery. Letting the scalp be soft. The forehead, the eyebrows unfurrowed. Eyes soft in their sockets. The cheeks and jaw are released. Lips slightly parted, tongue resting behind the top row of teeth. Palate open, throat soft. Ears falling down towards the earth. The neck has nothing to hold up. Shoulders resting back into the earth, collarbone wide. Arms limp at the sides. Nothing to do but receive. Every single finger is relaxed. The chest rises and falls naturally. The ribs expand and recoil naturally. The abdomen rises and falls like a baby's with your breath. Back body completely supported by the earth underneath. Behind the shoulders, the upper thoracic spine, the mid-back. There's that gentle natural curve through the lumbar spine, little wisps of air traveling underneath the bridge. And then the sacrum, the pelvis, the hips are heavy on the earth, open and receptive. The legs are integrated, nestled into the hip sockets and heavy on the earth. Thigh muscle draping on bone. The lower leg supported ankle has nothing to hold up, and the feet flop naturally. Relaxation and life tingle through the soles of the feet, the tops of the feet, and every single toe. How do you feel? How aligned do you feel? How can you maintain this from a physical standpoint, from a mental standpoint, an emotional standpoint, a spiritual standpoint as you walk off the mat today? As your actions match your insides. As your surroundings match your values. Where you have enough space to come back to your true nature, whether that's physical alignment, strengthening the unstable places, lengthening the tight ones, or that space to be you fully and completely. I wish you all a beautiful, beautiful week. And I hope to see you again and again. Namaste.